Hi there everybody, my name is Kate and welcome to my channel, Trinity Awakens Naturally. So we're continuing on with Casual Saturday, Sloppy Saturday. So much is coming in. We're grounded because of the weather. It's just too slick and weird outside to be doing much of anything else. So a lot of downloads today, a whole lot. So I was talking in the previous videos about the codependent cycle, the karmic cycle, getting in and out of relationships and setting boundaries, slamming doors, and you're not going to play with you anymore. And the real extreme butthurt and the trauma and the drama and all of this stuff when we separate, when we put down boundaries, when we try to establish healthy boundaries with people when we've had really unhealthy ones, you know. One of the things that the karmic cycle will really get us into are the toxic cycle or the codependent cycle when we have dysfunctional relationships, however you classify that. I'm talking unhealthy relationships, period. Whatever you classify that as, the criteria is that when we have those unhealthy patterns with people and we expect them to do something about our awful mood or about the trauma that we're experiencing or, you know, whatever, and we try to draw them into that experience or at least ask them to please make it somehow different for us. One of the greatest things that I can say about being aware of what was really changing inside of me as I started to go through a spiritual awakening, through a very, very, very brutal experience, going through divorce and separation from my whole previous life. However, oh my God, it was rich with all kinds of information that I needed to know, and it was so awful in many ways because that was what I was setting up for years. You know, I did not realize how much I laid myself out there for somebody else to please fix me, please fix this. I don't know how to do it, and you look like you know how you're doing it, so tell me what that looks like, tell me what to do, you know. Except it ended up being, you know, being told what to do as if I was a child, and then I resented it, and then I got petulant, and then I started doing my own thing, and then, you know, I would try to turn it. It's a terrible cycle. It's just awful. You know, most of us understand that already on some level, or we can at least observe it when we see it. It's just that I did not realize that when I went through this divorce, that the problem with having laid out those kinds of no boundaries, just an open border everywhere, is that by attempting to put down a boundary in a very soft way, it became necessary to put down boundaries in a really hard way. My dog is chewing on his bone. Sorry about that. I'm sure you can hear that. He's working his little gnaw bone. We're inside. You know, that's bribery for him to be inside. That, yeah, we'll be out hiking again someday whenever the weather clears up. But when it became necessary to start putting down boundaries, I wasn't taken very seriously because I had been asking anybody and everybody to take care of me in some way or another. Even though I knew I was very strong, I had no idea what I was doing. I just felt like a bumbling idiot all the time. And because the karmic cycle that I personally was in, it became very easy for people to assume that I was stupid, you know, because I wasn't speaking my mind and putting my foot down about things that were really important to me. I was assuming a lot of the blame. I was assuming all of the shame, you know, that I had, you know, plus that anybody that was willing to put it on me, that it was me. I was causing a lot of problems. That's absolutely true. However, if I'd been able to understand that it's not anybody else's job to get you out of your bad mood or your, you know, anxiety and things like that. It really isn't anyone else's job to do that out of obligation to you. If they care to help you and they want to help you, then, you know, that's what they can do. However, what I was missing about that is that people were doing things. Here's my cat getting all involved. My animals, man, they've been off the wall, just out to lunch doing weird stuff. All the different weather patterns and the energy's just shifting and it's crazy. But by asking people to help me and to help me, you know, keep myself put together and stay out of anxiety and stuff, they were doing it because that's the toxic pattern. You know, I'm not telling a secret on just my situation. This is a very common occurrence. They were doing it out of a sense of obligation, not because they really wanted to, you know, and I understand because when we're married to someone or we have family with someone and we're, you know, in a family with someone or we have extended family, whatever it is, when we have ties with people, you know, we would be be told that, yes, you have an obligation to that person. And I'd like to put it out there instead that rather than, I don't want people to feel obligated to me, because when they feel obligated to me, they get very angry about long-term caretaking of me, you know, and I never learned how to, you know, start taking care of yourself on as many levels as possible. Start doing that, you know, because it became very acrimonious both ways, where I wasn't picking up my end of the stick and other people weren't picking up their end of the stick. It became very acrimonious between us that, you know, this is very obligatory, that I'm doing things and I would not want to be doing. If I had my druthers about this, if I had my choice, I wouldn't be doing this for you. You know, it's only because I'm blunt to you, I'm this title to you. And that's really no way to have any kind of a healthy relationship with anyone, because it gets us piling up all the infractions in our head and piling up everything that we're owed to make that debt clear, you know, and that's really not how it works. There wasn't anything, you know, that seemed like it was going to get me in the clear or get other people in the clear with me, because it was constantly imbalanced in different ways, you know, that I was needing a whole lot of assistance, I thought, in getting out of, you know, anxiety and, oh my God, you know, and some of the logistical stuff of just living a life, you know, I needed a lot of support, you know, I thought, and I did, I absolutely did at one time. I did need a lot of support, and yet I was meeting emotional needs of other people in other ways. And so, you know, it was like, wait a minute, that we're trading an emotional fulfillment for an errand, or, you know, having to support, you know, going home early because this person can't really hang, you know, Kate can't hang with being here, we need to leave early. So we were accommodating, you know, we were obligating and accommodating. Through that obligating, we were doing that from different perspectives. And so logistically, you know, trying to hand back something, a logistical thing, it's still not going to meet the emotional need. I still felt a deficit. It's like, okay, well, you know, I did get, you know, reprieve that we went home, and, you know, it seemed like it was things were being catered to me, and sometimes they really were. However, I'm catering over here to your non-emotional involvement, or to your overly involved emotional involvement that's, you know, not really relative to the situation exactly. I'm catering over here by giving you lots of space to explode on me or to explain to me why that shouldn't hurt my feelings, and you're giving me lots of room over here to, you know, bail out of work for 3 days because I'm just losing my mind and can't cope with being alive, you know, and in this situation. So you see, it brought up a lot of confusion in me, and I don't know if it was bringing up confusion in other people or not. I just know that by the time that all broke down and I was, you know, left, you know, I'm leaving now, I've got to go. My ex-husband said, I'm out, you know. I understood. I was like, yeah, this was a big bag of craziness, you know, and I understand why a person would want to do that anymore. However, I had no idea, you know, the degree to which I was misunderstanding the entire situation, that it wasn't just me, you know, nor was it just him. It wasn't just any one person in the whole family dynamic, because if it was, you know, it would have been relegated to just a couple of people, and it wasn't. It broke apart my entire, excuse me, got a nice big old hair stuck right there. It broke my entire family apart. It broke apart every relationship that I still had remaining from the family of origin that I had. Fortunately, there weren't very many of them. You know, if it had been a much bigger family, that would have been even weirder. But it was quite strange because it took away the very few remaining family of origin relationships that I had. They just completely were completely destroyed, and I could not understand, like, what is this? I don't understand. And it's because people try to replace, you know, an emotional fulfillment with a logistical one. You know, that buying a Christmas gift for someone that you feel obligated to do that for, it may fit the bill of being an emotional fulfillment if there's already an emotional engagement there. However, it's just a logistical movement. You know, getting flowers on a holiday or on a birthday or something is like, that's just the check in the block that it feels like, if that's what it feels like, and that's what it is, because we don't really have anything else. And, you know, logistically, yeah, I'll go run that errand for you because you're, you know, kind of over here having your anxiety or whatever you're doing. You know, I'm going to say that that's okay. And yet not having that emotional engagement, that's not an equal exchange. It wasn't an equal exchange even if we had an emotional engagement and I still can't run my own errands, you know, consistently over years and years. We're going to need to talk about how we can get you, you know, more self-aware and more able to function as a human being. However, that's not how that was working. I was constantly pedaling around thinking, well, you know, emotionally I can engage where I can, getting, kind of just cold stares a lot from all the people, most of the people, not all of them, but most of the people in the grown-up world in my life. And then, logistically looking to handle that, okay, the more I can handle my own logistics, well, and I got better and better about it. The emotional stuff got even more vacuous. Like, I'm confused here because I'm able to take care of myself better. I'm, taking care of more things in my world, and yet the emotional detachment is growing larger and larger and larger. So it really was quite a weird state of being for a while, until I realized it took almost a year when I started my spiritual awakening, if you will, like the unfoldment of, oh God, what is this that I've been doing here? 2018, I knew when I came into 2018 that I needed to make a whole bunch of changes in my world, and a whole bunch of things were changing in my world. And yet by the end of that year, that's when everything just absolutely fell apart, because I was getting more independent. I was becoming more able to lose weight, and move my body in a different way, get off of a whole bunch of psychotropic medications that I'd been taking to manage my mood, and started taking more accountability for, how I was going to do the logistics of my world, and then start meeting my own needs emotionally with getting deeper into, why do I care about what that person's doing over there? Why do I need this? And it was an ugly, gruesome experience that didn't go with any finesse. For that whole first year, I was kind of struggling hard, like, I don't really know where to go with this. However, there was great success with the logistics of, I could take better care of myself. I was looking better, and I was, getting off medications, losing weight, eating better, doing better, and getting more stuff done with all the logistical, non-emotional stuff. However, the emotional stuff was becoming unglued in me. 1111, thank you. And I couldn't understand, why is this? It's because people are trying to exchange for you all the things they said, well, if you would just do this, if you would just do this. And I started doing this, and it started pissing people off even more. Like, you told me if I didn't need you so much, if I wasn't so needy, if I wasn't so clingy, if I wasn't so whatever, and now I'm actually doing more for myself. And I really would like to talk to you about the emotional side of this. And you're running off like, a rabbit. You left a smoke trail behind you. Were you on fire when you left? And I didn't understand 1144. Thank you. It didn't make any sense to me. And it's because of that transactional relationship stuff that we have with people sometimes. Excuse me. That throat chakra's been all kinds of irritated. Yeah. Pardon me. The transactional relationships are very common in dysfunction, when people are looking to do stuff that will replace the actual core emotional engagement, because of whatever blunted and stunted emotional growth isn't happening, or is happening at whatever level it's stunted, blunted, or it's moving, or it's not, wherever all that is in the chaos. That I'll just buy an anniversary gift, or a Mother's Day gift, or a Father's Day gift, or sister gift, brother gift, boss's day, whatever it is, that we think we're going to get an emotional response, out of a transactional deal, or we think that we're going to satisfy someone else's emotional need with a transactional response. And rarely is that, really fully understood at a deep level with people who are not doing any real understanding or introspective analysis of to understand why they're doing things. They're just doing it kind of on a robotic, this is just what I do. I'm unplugged emotionally, so I'll just show you that I love you by sending bouquet of flowers. Never mind, they're the same bouquet of flowers I sent last year, the exact same one, or giving the same exact gift for a birthday. I got that, and like I told you last year, I really wish you wouldn't waste your money, because I don't like that. That's not something I'm going to do. I appreciate the thought, but please save your money, because that was a transactional way that person who was not going to engage with me in a very emotional way, like a truly bonded emotional way, was a way that person could put the check in the block for birthday and give something that person really liked and enjoyed, and had said many times, I'm like, I'm so glad that you enjoy that, then please take this gift certificate back and enjoy it on, for my birthday, because I'm not going to use that, but thank you. I tried it, last year. And when that stuff really became more clear to me, that's what's happening here, is that these are people who are not very emotionally engaged. And you can't snatch people out of, a disengagement. You cannot rock them out of that. They will eat you alive if you try. I learned, my lesson of don't be trying to get people to be all emotional with you, or to replace, what they're doing suddenly with emotions that they have no idea what they're even about, that they don't know. Love, I love you. Do I? How do I know that? Because you can logistically fill some needs. I'd much rather we have a heartfelt conversation than to ever get another Christmas gift or birthday gift or whatever ever again, because that's what's important to me. And so it isn't about, shaming other people. It's about figuring out that, this isn't a love language thing. This is an emotional maturity thing, that we have to be able to meet somewhere where we can deal with one another and understand what our actual needs are. And if my needs are going to, not be met because someone else's emotional availability just isn't there and they're not willing to work on that, then the reality of it is that there's not enough flowers, there's not enough, gifts, there's not enough, saying things that are not followed up with actions. The actions of buying a bouquet of flowers is, yeah, okay, and it's hollow, there's not a lot more than that, then that's not what's going to work for me. And getting more logistically stable, or taking care of me. I got taken care of a lot, driven places when I wasn't able to drive, and making accommodations all over the place. And I felt terrible about myself because, that's really, I hated it because it was played that way, that we have to do so much to accommodate you. And people did. However, if we had been working more in the angle of how can we help her meet her own emotional needs and be more emotionally available and be more emotionally mature about the fact that we're really trying to make this transactional, that we're just trying to, just give a gift certificate right quick and ignore the fact that, last year was pretty rough and some terrible things happened. But if we just, act like it didn't, and, we'll just keep moving. And I never could quite get over that, because I would want to, and I'd say, okay, well, it must be me that's having a hard time with this, that I just can't get over things, and I'm, holding a grudge or something. And like, wait a minute, am I actually holding a grudge, or am I just continuing to see the same effing pattern over and over and over again, and it's still hurting me? Why is it hurting me? And that's where I stumbled, was must be something busted in me. And if you have people that are willing to help support that idea that you're right, there is something terribly broken in you. It wasn't until I could get to the point of meeting my own emotional needs and saying, that person is just not going to do. That's not going to be that person to me. She has that title. He has that title, they have that title, whatever, and they're not going to have that relationship with me the way that I would like that to be. So, you're going to get raw and real with it and deal with it, or are you going to sit here and continue to think that there's something wrong with expecting that? Please listen to me and don't insult me by giving me a birthday gift that I asked you, please. You'd do much better if you just did not give me anything at all. It's really okay, and because that would not be the way they play, like, please listen to me. It doesn't matter what you do. This is what I'm telling you, that I need to be listening to you, and I'm hearing you, that you're not listening to me and you're not interested in listening to me or changing your behavior, and you're not hearing me that I don't want to do this anymore. This isn't satisfying to me, and I'm getting the understanding now that it's really okay for me to want more for my life than that. Now, people that want to stay, locked up and, standoffish or cold or disengaged or emotionally blunted, stunted, whatever they are, they're allowed to. That is not something I've ever seen work out, that you try to snatch someone into an emotional relationship with you. They get pissed, and they get pissed quickly, and they start finding ways to harm you, and make you shut up. Just no, be quiet, don't say those things. And as long as we can keep gaslighting and turn it around, then we just keep this sick cycle going of dysfunction and codependency and narcissistic tendencies, and no one in that is getting their needs met. No one. There is no winner in that. The only winner there is, chicken dinner, winner, chicken dinner, is the person that escapes it, and so when I was exiting all of that and saying, oh my God, I see it now, I get it, I understand it, and going back and working to say, look, this is really, these are my needs, can we do this? understanding very clearly that these are not people that are willing to do this. That's where you can end the conversation of the expectation becomes zero because they just told you no. How did they tell you no? By ignoring you, by, dismissing you, by gaslighting you, by putting it back on your plate, by telling you, no, it's really not that, you're not seeing that, by discounting you. How many different ways do you need to see this, boo, before you say, okay, message received, I got this, then there's nothing else that I really need to do to try to foster anything there or to try to seed some sort of emotional engagement. People that do not want to be emotionally engaged usually have a lot of trauma, or they have a lot of just childhood issues, that their childhood development did not go well. They didn't have healthy parents, because people that engage emotionally had a healthy childhood. They would be engaging emotionally because we have emotions. The fact that we have so many robotic and disengaged people is because that's where we are, in what we've created in this dynamic of, codependency and narcissistic tendencies and abuse and alcoholism, addictions, all of the different ways that it's come out. Children are growing up and have, for time eternal, we've grown up in this society where it's getting less and less and less and less and less engaged. And it's time now, because we're going into a new understanding and a new paradigm, that it's changing, and yet it's very frightening for people who are not in touch with their emotions. 818, they can get out of control very quickly. And so, I gave up. I gave up with, okay, this is just destroying me, to look at somebody that, I used to love you, you used to love me. How can we be doing this? Why are you doing this to me? And really understand that don't mess with it, man. Just stop, because you're going to get more hurt. You're going to be physically harmed, you're going to be emotionally harmed, financially harmed, you're going to be devastated on every level, that you keep leaving it out here with the devil. Really, stop doing this. And it really broke my heart. And yet I intellectually understood it, and then had to grieve that the idea here is that most of the grief comes from the fact that these roles were not being fulfilled in the way that you thought they were to begin with. That if you'd really been, truly in your right place where you needed to be emotionally, you would have understood that that's not the role, that's not how that role would have done, that's not how that role would have done, that's not how that role would have done, or that one, and this role right here as this, and this, that's not the way that I would have done that role either, that it all needed to be redefined. And so grieving the loss of, people and relationships and stuff really became more about grieving the fact that we never really had that, not when I was growing up, not when, I was married. And no, shade, I don't mean to be throwing shade and being hateful, it's just that's not what we had. We had a very junior varsity, something, Pee-wee League really, of how that could be, of what my vision is for me, what other people's vision is for them, and what they expect and what they're willing to take, and all of that, that's theirs. And me adopting to that, or forcing them, or thinking I could force them to adopt to mine, that's where we ran into trouble big time. And that's exactly what codependency will tell us, that we should sit there and keep on trying. If you love someone, you just stick around, driving them around for 15 years because they're too twitted out, and can't, cope with life. Or you cope with the fact that I just gave you a birthday gift and I found it in the trash. Do you have any idea how hurtful that is? That, do you not care? Those were the kinds of interactions you're having, and both looking at the other side like, what is wrong with you? Are you stupid? And that's not a really good way to really propagate a loving relationship. It's a real good way for people to get the feelings that they do have super duper hurt, and especially people who are empaths and, very sensitive. I am very sensitive, and that's not the problem. It's that, working with people who are high end sensitive, that's not a good match. That's going to look like, me feeling hurt all the time, and then feeling guilty that I don't understand why I can't, toughen up, leather up fruitcake. I got that idea a lot of, just thick skin, 11, thank you, thicken it up, get tough, you're just too sensitive. And it really hurt to understand that, yeah, you're in the wrong place. It doesn't make other people bad. It means that it's bad for you. It's toxic for you, and it's toxic for them for you to be angry or petulant or sad or victimized or anything, expecting something that they're not willing to give. Even if they're capable of giving it, they're not willing to. And you're not really willing to give away the idea that that really hurts my feelings. Otherwise, it wouldn't hurt your feelings and you would walk away without being destroyed. So you see where the problem is, Kate? Oh, damn, that's a bad day. It was a bad day for a few of them. But anyway, I hope that's helpful for you in some way or to you in some way. And I hope you enjoy your day no matter what part of the day you're in, and get within your skin because you're divine. It is absolutely fine. And can help you figure out where those transactional kind of relationships might be happening, if they are, and help you find a better way, to pair up with people that, actually have the same love language, that you're in the same love language, not just in an intellectual relationship. If we want that, we can join a chat group or something on an interest, not try to call those loving relationships, and grieve where we haven't had them, or where we're going to need to exit ones that just are no longer serving us. It's that time in, human development and spiritual evolution that we're really being pressed and pushed to do that. We see it everywhere, and so it's really time to answer the call and stand up to the tall line. Even if we're this big, the tall line just became this big, to reach out a little bit further than where we are now, to begin that process of how can I grow and how can I know how to really meet my needs so that I can best handle the fact that other people just aren't, and they don't have to, they're not required to, even in a loving, committed relationship that's very healthy, I still can't walk in with the expectation that that person, that they are going to do what I want them to do, or that, they should. Anything that's obligatory is no longer really, a freely and open, loving relationship. And I don't mean an open relationship, I mean openly loving, where I can show up being me, and you accept me, and you show up being you, and I accept you because we know how to respectfully treat one another. You know what I like, I know what you like, and we still are okay with the fact that disappointment will come occasionally. It's just that foisting disappointment off your direction like it's your fault that it disappoints me, ooh, that turns into a terrible interaction that lasting more than a few seconds before I scamper away and go, pardon me, I've made a mistake about where I'm standing. Oh, that turns into a real problem when it's a whole way of life and you don't get out of that until you're 50. Leaves a lot of collateral damage to pick up, and there's just no more time, and not necessary to accumulate anymore, and there's just no more time to not do that work, in my opinion, for me personally anyway. So as I said, get within your skin and enjoy being in your skin, because you're divine. It is so lovely, so gorgeous, and so fine. Take care of your beautiful selves, and I'll see you again next time. Goodbye, friends. Mwah.